Hello, everybody. My name is Olivia. I am 24 and I am a recreation therapist here in Squamish. I just moved here about 6 months ago and I love it here. And yeah, I work with kids ages 0 to 18, so quite a wide variety. And it gives me opportunity to be a bit of a kid myself.
Excellent. So, can you tell me a little bit about what evenings look like at Squamish Climbing Academy?
Yeah. So, depends on the day, depends on how the kids' energy levels are, but hoping they will be super fun. Um, yeah, we will be doing lots of time exploring Squamish and going to one of the many different events that are happening throughout all of the summer, as well as potentially doing some climbing movie nights and doing some art. Yeah, depends
Cool.
on the day.
Cool. And how do you gauge the group and how do you match their energy depending on the evening?
Yeah, how do I gauge the group? I think it depends on how crazy the day was in terms of how hard they climbed and what energy they bring back whenever they come back here. But yeah, I think having opportunities to give them activities that are high energy level, mid energy level, and low energy level is the best way to make sure you've got your bases covered. So,
Okay. So, how do you deal with, you know, one kid in the group is super keen to do something, and then the other kids are more want to do an art project? How would you deal with working with that?
yeah, unfortunately, I can't splice myself up and make two of me, but being able to talk it out and come up with a consensus that works for everybody, where everybody feels like comfortable with what event or activity we're doing that day is the best way to make sure everybody feels met where they're at.
Cool. And at Squamish Climbing Academy, we believe in being kind and firm. Okay, obviously we're dealing with climbing a lot of times, so this is something that we need to be on top of the safety side of things. But in the evenings, we're not climbing, but we're doing other things. So how do you continue to be kind and firm with the kids and set those boundaries that are needed, but also give them the kind of kindness and the energy to show that you are there for them and that you build relationships with them?
Yeah, I think being able to let them know that I've got their best intention in mind. And I really just want them to be safe, first and foremost, but also have fun. And having boundaries that make sense to them is the most important. I'm in their corner and I'm willing to talk if they don't understand why there is a rule. But being able to have boundaries is also a way of taking care of kids. And obviously, the boundaries that would be in place are developmentally appropriate. And yeah, we can talk about it at the beginning of the camp and all collaborate and make sure that everybody knows what the rules are and we're all on the same page.
Perfect. And at Squamish Climbing Academy, we do family style meals.
Yeah.
So how do you, first of all, plan the meals with the group?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the week, or however long, how long is the, depends on the program that we're running, right? The beginning of the program, we would all sit down, talk about what kind of food we like, if there's any dietary preferences or restrictions, I would know about it. And yeah, make sure that everybody feels like they are able to be a part of and in charge of
What they get to eat?
yeah, what they get to eat. It's I'm not gonna force feed anybody, and they will have options. but making sure that it's nutritionally balanced and that they're getting enough fuel for all the fun exercise and activities that we will be doing is the most important.
Cool. And so I think you kind of answered this, but how do you deal with dietary restrictions, preferences, meeting their needs around food, cultural needs,
Yeah.
etc.? Yeah.
Well, I personally have experience with it. I am a vegan, and so I understand what it feels like to fear not being able to get what you need out of a meal. And food can be a very social aspect of life, and I think making sure that everybody feels like they have what they need to feel good and feel fueled is really crucial. Yeah, I also have a background in nutrition. I've got some certifications there, and so I think that comes to play with knowing what dietary restrictions look like, as well as being able to meal prep and plan for it.
Perfect. And how do you deal with the bedtimes?
Yeah, that's usually the trickiest for the age groups. Obviously, depends on what developmental stage they're at. You know, teenagers have a tendency to push back a lot on bedtimes. But it's so important. Sleep is so important for athletes especially. So giving them time to wind down, something calming, a calming activity where they all have quiet time before bed for a certain amount of time depending on the age group, but then having a pretty strict lights out end of the night is probably a boundary that I would like to make sure there's no pushback on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. And
Yeah, recreation therapy is basically the idea that the mind and the body are interconnected, and by moving the body, you can help the mind feel better. And by having somebody that you can go to who understands maybe what you've gone through developmentally, depending on what age you're at, who's trusted and able to make you feel welcomed to just talk about whatever is kind of how my background in recreation comes to shine through. Also, I love rock climbing so much. And so being able to talk about that with somebody who's just as stoked is something that I can offer as well.